Welcome back to another Purpose Served podcast episode. I'm your host, Darryl Wingfield. Um, as always, I appreciate everybody that's always tuning in, that's always listening, no matter where you are, no matter if you're stateside, no matter if you're not in the United States. I literally don't care. Uh, to be quite honest, I appreciate all the love and all the support. And for me personally, that pretty much gives me an idea of who you are as a person, in a sense, due to the fact that at this point, um, we're a decent amount of podcasts in, and the fact that I'm seeing that there's recurring listeners, and also shout out to the people that has reached out to me from the previous podcast that I uploaded. It was a while since I uploaded from, I believe, from 59 to 60. It was like 3 or 4 months, and people were reaching out to me. So that means a lot. That really, really means a lot. That's especially with the last, like I want to say, told you guys about it on the last podcast episode. These last couple of months have been pretty crazy, especially in regard to purpose served. It's been nuts. A lot of epiphanies, a lot of moving pieces that's going on, and within um, the purpose served community on the website, thepurposeserved.com. Uh, that's exactly what the website is. It's going to be in the description below, whether you're listening to this, watching this, um, and in this, I'm building it as we speak, layer by layer, week by week, brick by brick. But pretty much having initiatives, having projects and programs that you all can participate in at your local facilities that's around you, and have a means and a blueprint to help you find your unique form to serve your unique purpose. And this is this is going on 2 years. I started doing this podcast 2 years. Um, when I first did the podcast, man, I was mad nervous, hella nervous, man. Doing this, having a camera pointed in my face, I did not like that at all. Um, and also, I was real nerve wracked. Even a couple of weeks prior, before me getting it, I was very, very nervous. I didn't know if I did have enough to talk about, or if people would even be listening, or if I even knew what I was doing and knew what I was getting myself into. And looking back at that time, I ordered the podcast equipment, and it took a while for it to come in. And it was like 1 day shipping. Shout out to Rockville Audio. Nah, for real though, they blessed up. But it was 1 day shipping, and it didn't come in 1 day. In fact, it took like 3 weeks to a month for this podcast equipment to come in, and I already started kinda lining up guests and stuff like that. For example, one of the first people that I asked to be on my podcast was Purvis Ellison. I think that was like episode 8 of the podcast, so that's way, way, way back then. And pretty much, Purvis Ellison was a NBA first round draft pick in 1989. Um, so this is all way back when. I was very nervous, and once I did do my first podcast, it was around 10:30 at night. I had just got off of work at Planet Fitness, and I'm setting everything up, and it's taking me a while. I think I started recording a podcast at like 12 o'clock, and I kept starting all over again, stopping and starting all over again, stopping and starting all over again, because it felt like as though I couldn't find the right words. I was like, damn, man, I sound hella stupid. And even now, the hardest part, and this goes with a lot of things, is always starting, man. It's always hard to start, you know, and people think about things while it's well in and on the momentum train where the locomotive's already got this thing going, but people never think about it from the start point, and that's oftentimes the hardest point is um, something that I talk about. The million and one things that I repeat on here. That's one of them. Get used to it. If you're a new listener, get used to it. But um, what I was about to say before I started freaking playing around. Um, I'll start new things. So it oftentimes like the barrier of entry. That's what I was gonna say, and this goes back to the hero's journey, which I coin a term all the time, and thanks to the late great Joseph Campbell, which he gets mentioned here all the time. Um, that barrier of entry is a mug. You know what I'm saying? It's you looking right in the face of potential, and this is something about potential. Potential is form unrealized, and you see this a lot in nature. You know, and I'm a big proponent of looking at nature and seeing how this this nature affects your real life. You know what I'm saying? From trees, from the wind blowing to the water, fire, it all is telling a story. But going back to this barrier of entry, you looking in the face of potential, and for me, it was me trying out when I was in middle school. It was me trying out when I was in high school. It was me trying to play college basketball. It was me leaving to go overseas to play basketball. Um, it was me starting a business, and it was me starting this podcast. All and it's a revolving door. We all are gonna, no matter what, face those barrier of entries. They're everywhere and they're constant. It has a cyclical nature to it, and what I mean is, it's like a circle. You know what I mean? You're always gonna find your way back from what you started from. You know, and this is the ultimate reason why I'm doing this. When it's all said and done, I don't care about this being popular. I don't care about this, you know, earning me a shit ton of money. I kind of care about that. uh, keep it real. But ultimately, if that doesn't happen, I want this to be a place that people can go to when they're looking, when they're looking, when they're looking for some gems, when they're looking for some pieces to help fit this puzzle, the complex jigsaw puzzle of yourself, I, me, you, you know, this experience that only you live. Even though I'm talking to you, I'm not living your experience right now. You listening to me while you're living your experience. I'm talking, living my own experience, talking to you, living your experience. But collectively, we feel the same. We feel the same energy field. We operate in the same energy field, you know. And something that I have noticed, and I noticed it for a while now, but it's heavy, heavy energy in the air right now, and everybody feel it. There's a lot of anxiety in the air. There's a lot of tension in the air. There's a lot of depression in the air. There's a lot of bad vibes in the air. It's very, very spooky. Everybody feels it. Everybody is low key waiting for that next bad thing to happen, you know. And every day you can find yourself in a conversation where you predicting how bad it's going to get. And that's a common conversation between everybody every single day. And the one thing that I did notice, especially from the countless amount of people that I've been talking to right now, nobody seems to want to think about solutions to these problems, but everybody want to cook up problem jumbo. And for me personally, I don't like that, man. I really, really don't. It doesn't help the situation. Everybody in a shitty situation, and everybody is seem to somehow making it worse and feeding into this heavy energy field to sink you down even more instead of doing a counterintuitive thing and getting light. You know what I'm saying? And for me, getting light on your feet, light, making your spirit and soul feel lighter, you have to go towards things, you know what I mean? And I've been hearing, personally speaking, everything otherwise, you know what I mean? And you have to go with partly what your gut is telling you, but as what I preach on here all the time is you have to go with real life responsibilities too. You know, I don't know if I talked about this on the previous podcast or not, but I seen um, a clip off of a podcast that I listened to. I can't really think of the name of it right now off the top of my head, but the guy said that don't go after things that you love, go after things that you are good at, you know, and because of the opportunities that it presents in it. And at first, personally speaking, I was a little defensive towards that when I first listened to it, but I opened my ears and I opened my mind up and just really, really listened to what the dude was saying. And he made a valid point. And he was a trainer, I think. No, he wasn't a trainer. He was. This is a different podcast. Lex Freeman, the goat in a suit, the Ukrainian Russian goat. Shouldn't even say that. That's hot boy. But pretty much the dude on the other podcast, not the Lex Freeman, but he was pretty much saying you is more better that you get good, live off of what you're good at than what you love in a sense. And to me, I sat there and I thought about it, and it goes hand in hand. And the only reason why I say that is I love something first from my personal experience, and I got good at it. You know what I mean? And there's different forms of, showing your love towards something, you know. And like for example, when it comes to basketball, people may love watching basketball, but they may not love playing it. You know what I mean? People may love playing basketball, but they probably just love shooting around. People may love basketball, but they may just simply love teaching a game, like coaching or training. But then you have people that love basketball who are trying to take somebody's head off. And that's where I come in the picture. You know what I mean? Just like real competitive basketball, I really love that, man. And through taking that alleyway, it forced me to get good at what I do. And people avoid that. People avoid looking at that beast, man. That beast that's telling you that you have to get better. You may interpret that as you suck. In the moment, yeah, that's probably true. You probably do suck. But it's a means of getting better. It's a means of learning. And you have to take that in consideration. And you have to take, your little ego getting shattered with a like grain of salt. Um, uh, I had my most humbling experience, and I believe I talked to you guys about it when I played in the ABA for the Delaware Snipers last year. Um, that was a a very 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 interesting experience for me. Um, Shout out to Coach Emily. Shout out to everybody on that squad. I probably gave y'all shout outs already, man. Shout out to Dom. Shout out to Ham. Shout out to Parker. Shout out to Neef. Shout out to J Mill. Shout out to Didi. Shout out to Randy. Randy overseas doing this thing right now, giving dudes buckets across the waters. Um, Shout out to all you guys, man. And yet again, if I left any of y'all off, I do apologize. But going to those practices, man, it always felt like I had something to prove, man. Always. That's what anything that I do, to be quite honest. But it was different. You know what I mean? It definitely was different. Um, it was me working a full time job at the same time. My very first one, crazy enough, in my whole life, at 26. But doing that, starting purpose served, and then going to practice right after I'm getting off of work and stuff like that, it was nuts. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure some of them was on the team doing the same exact thing. You know what I mean? But I had battles in those practices, man. Battles where it always felt like it was a chip on my shoulder. You know what I mean? Because I was going in situations where going in a game, I might not get put in the whole entire game, but best believe I get put in, I will get a bucket. You know what I'm saying? But all in all, that right there was a learning and growing situation for me, all in all, through and through. And that was a situation that was difficult to see to completion, but I had to keep showing up and, you know what I mean, doing it for the love of the game, man, because basketball blessed me in so many different ways, and I talked about it here countless amount of times. You know what I mean, and how the countless amount of people bless me with opportunities to be in this moment. Um, One of the main ones that I gave a shout out to was also on this podcast. Most likely going to be a future guest, man. Is Sean Mills. Hopefully in January, I hope to be out there working out with him very soon. But that's one of those people that guided me along on this journey. But going back to the heavy energy, this heavy energy that's out in the air is very, very, very. It gives off discouraging vibes. It's you can be real hype to do what you got to do. Envision it, get that feeling. Your spirit is telling you like, yo, this is it for us, my boy, my girl. You know what I'm saying? We gotta go. We gotta go towards that. And then once you take that first step, it's like that next one we might fall. Spirit, do we want to keep going? And your spirit like, bro, sis. Shout out to my sisters. But listen to the air, man. Listen to what's going on around you. I'm gonna help you see it. I'm gonna help you understand what's going on around you. But you gotta trust me. You gotta do the work because I can't do it. You are that form, you know. And this is something that in other videos I'm gonna break down. I was gonna be outside of the podcast to get my creativity really out there. It's just to, like I said earlier, understanding the elements, understanding nature, and how you can use that as a way to better understand yourself in so many different ways, man. So many different ways. I sit there and I can stare at a tree. I can sit there and stare at a tree for like 10 minutes. And within 10 minutes of me just staring at that tree, not necessarily thinking about anything but staring at that tree, focusing on that tree, I get profound messages from this tree. Sounds freaking crazy, don't it? Uh, but stay with me here. It's something archaic, real primitive in nature itself. When you look at grass, when you look at rain, when you look at the ocean, when you look at a creek, when you look at a river, it's it's a force of nature. It's literally a force of nature. You know what I mean? When you look at certain of these things, and I can't help but to be mesmerized by it because I'm experiencing it. It's nothing more complicated than that. And oftentimes, staring at a tree for 10 minutes, that's like something as simple as a sound I get from it, and it lets me know to not overcomplicate everything as much as I am, not try to fuel more problems than I already have, but get real simple about the objective, about who I am, you know, within this complexity. Because it is complex, man. Um, it's something. Um, I forgot who I was listening to. This is 2 weeks ago. But the dude was like, to help you go to sleep easier, try recalling your day from that moment of you resting your eyes all the way back to when you first opened them. Try to recall every single moment and don't fall asleep. Um, and I really thought about that. I'm like, man, can I really do that? You know what I mean? Is that really possible? But I'm drifting off here. But all in all, nothing really goes as planned. When you first wake up in the morning, you have this sort of mindset of how you think and expect your day is going to go, and you prepare your mindset for such. You prepare things around you as such. But how often does it actually go the way you intended? I bet never. I bet never. And something I say on here is that we're surrounded by uncertainty at any and every given moment. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow. So when you look at nature, well, when I look at nature, I I see all of that in it. When you look at a leaf life cycle from all four seasons, you know, it grows, it lives, and then it dies. And then after that, new leaves come, and it follows the same cycle. And the tree is like the overwatcher of that, And this is one little example of, simple meditation that you can do. Shout out to Grace. You know, this Tuesday, um, no, this Tuesday, it is Tuesday, Monday, yesterday, um, we did a practice, and one of them was involving our archetype, the storm, and I'm pretty sure I brought up archetypes before and different types of archetypes and the origins of archetypes and where they come from, and they come from the dude Carl Jung, the all Swiss psychiatrist who quickly turned into one of my muses. But I'm gonna get back to that. But we pulled the card, the storm, and it was a card that resonated with me very, very strongly. That archetype, and for me, I had it in many storms all the time. We all do. And the one thing about archetypes is that we all share archetypes. It's not specific to anybody. These are all part of the collective unconscious, um, which is something that Carl Jung studied. That was his literal life work. He dedicated his whole entire life to studying that. Very, very ambitious thing, very, very scary thing. But I believe that he done it with true grace. Um, and the way that he even went about it, and his clients being people who suffer from neurosis, people who suffer from real clinical, really bad clinical mental health diseases and illnesses. And he worked with that for 40, 45 years. But um, I want to say that was a guy that headed into many, many storms. He was a guy that definitely headed into many, many storms. But for me, I realized that I have to get into the eye of that storm, and stillness is there, peace is there, and ultimately that's what we're all looking for. That's what everybody's in search for, and you can't find peace when you got this hostile, heavy energy in the air that's literally nuclear. People are very, very fearful right now. That's the dominating mindset, is riddled in fear. People are succumbing to things that they have a lot of strength to overcome, but they don't think so. And this brings me to the point of purpose served, all in all. And purpose served being a place where people can seek their purpose and actively engage in their purpose, because from day one, from 2 years ago when I did my very first podcast, that was the mission. And I was able to polish it and I was able to fine tune it as time went on. But ultimately, the mission has been quite simple. And that's help others engage their purpose, you know, and you don't have to look far. That's the first, you know, dilemma that people come across is that they look outside of themselves when first you have to trust the guidance system within to know what you're looking out on the outside. And it's a deep, deep relationship. It's a voyage, it's a journey that once we cross those lines of coming out the womb, we here to play this game. It's irreversible. There's no going back from what you started. The only place that you can return is by going forward. And we are on a conveyor belt. And there is a drop off on this conveyor belt. And nobody knows what's at the bottom of this drop off. You know what I mean? But it's represented to us as death. But to me, it's transformation. And we constantly go through these transformations when we experience things, when we go to sleep, when we wake up, we're waking up to a different experience that's not necessarily the same as it previously was. So use that as an opportunity to grow. Use that as an opportunity to put positive energy out there. Use that as an opportunity to help others. Use that as an opportunity to defend yourself when you're being attacked, because this is a warrior's path. And do not succumb to your environment. Do not succumb to what people think that you should be doing. Like I said, follow your spirit. It somehow knows. And that guidance system comes from the air. You know what I'm saying? Huh. Now, in a nutshell, think about this analogy real quick. This is something that I was going to save from my creative side, but I'm definitely going to really, really tap into it. But think about your spirit being of a water nature, where all it needs is a vessel for it to take shape. And it takes shape of anything regardless. And the goal for water is to take the path of least resistance. You get what I'm saying? It's going to do that no matter what. And I really, really noticed that when I was walking in the creek yesterday. I was looking at the water going upstream and downstream at the same time, and it was working with each other. And it was going upstream through the middle, and it was going downstream on the sides of the creek. And I'm seeing the waves pushing against the little shore and going right back out, and the water is still going downstream. Um, and ultimately, like I said, that's very symbolic of our spirit. Our spirit is looking to be freed somehow, some way, and but it's it's trapped in a sense. It's trapped in this vessel, this form, you know, and find a way to channel it towards you from the ocean, channel that all the way to the creek to replenish you, which is the tree, the earthly thing. So we have you being your physical body, the tree symbolic of your body, the water being symbolic of your spirit, the air and the wind being symbolic of the communication between you and I, and the fire, the will, the change of circumstance, um, the power, the force to get things done, to really do it. You know what I mean? All the other things are gentle, but fire, that passion, that heart, that's what's gonna push you to get past those barriers, man. That's what's really gonna do it. So use your will, that fire inside you, to really, really get you going, and use the wind that's around you to listen to where your spirit is trying to point you and guide you to go, with you being a tree. But there's the trick with the tree. The tree doesn't move because it's very, very rooted. It's very, very grounded in its nature. And that could come across as stubborn sometimes. And you have to find a way, being a tree, to move find the will to move. And you're going to need a really, really special reason to do that. And this is how simple the special reasoning is. You simply just being here and existing, taking form to that thing that's irreversible. That's what makes you unique. There's not another you. There won't be another you for ever to come. What are you willing to do to stamp that? You know, this is the end of the podcast episode. Yet again, go on the website, become a member of Purpose Served. Join the Purpose Served community. I want to see what you guys are doing to engage in your purpose, and also go in there to check out activities or offer activities that's going to help the next person out. We all here to serve our purpose. Serving is an action. Treat the purpose as if it's the goal. Serve your purpose. I love y'all, and I'm out. I have a game. I gotta go get buckets.